I sure would like to have a little pad in Hawaii.
Right, here we go. You're grass and I'm a power mower. Take. Hey.
Hello everyone, it's time for another episode of Your Grass and I'm a Power Mower. I'm Jocelyn. I want to start off by thanking my amazing viewership for helping me get this ukulele, which is not only a sine qua non for this particular episode, but really is essential for future episodes going forward, especially when we get into the era where Brian was using the ukulele more in its natural habitat, I guess. But today we're here to talk about Me Ronda, Mark 1, as recorded for the Today LP. And that's a record that has ukulele on it, but you wouldn't call it a real ukulele obvious song. There's not a Hawaiian vibe. Oh, well, my cat has just indicated that she thinks there is a Hawaiian vibe. But it's not really what you'd think of as like a song that's crying out for ukulele. But for some reason, Brian felt like that's what the song needed, because he didn't just use it for the Today version, but he used it on the Summer Days version as well. And this is sort of the first phase of his ukulele use. It's just another instrument in the instrumentarium. And it was used on the Rondas as played by Billy Strange and Barney Kessel, who are guitarists. But later he got into using Lyle Ritz, who, in addition to being a fine bass player, is also a really hip jazz ukulele player, and there he could use the instrument a little more idiomatically than Barney or Billy could. I ended up going with a baritone uke, which is tuned like the top four strings of a guitar, and I think that's what a lot of the guitarists in LA were doing, either getting a baritone or maybe a slightly smaller, like a concert-size ukulele, but still tuning it as a guitar. I think they probably used a pick. I think Billy's using a pick on Me Ronda. Not that they couldn't have done the more stylistically appropriate playing. I just think that's what they were comfortable with. Yeah, they were more comfortable with that. Yes, they like to use picks. So, I couldn't find many pictures of session guys using ukes. Here's one of Tommy Tedesco playing a little smaller uke with a pick. And then I found at least one example of an old ukulele being sold off at auction. Actually, it's Barney Kessel's baritone ukulele. It's a beautiful old Martin uke, I think from the 30s. I'll put a picture of it up now. And it may very well have been this very ukulele that you're seeing now that Barney used on Help Me Rhonda Mark II. As an interesting bit of trivia, yes, you're very talkative today, and you're ruining my program. You want to come over and be on the program? Come on. There we go. Now you're in the program. So as an interesting bit of trivia, Barney Kessel actually was responsible for signing Lyle Ritz to Verve Records. Apparently Barney was shopping at a guitar store in Hollywood, and Lyle came in and started kind of jamming on his jazz uke, and Barney overheard that. Lyle didn't know he was there, and Barney was like, do you want to record jazz ukulele for Verve? And so that started off Lyle's really stellar career as a jazz ukulele guy, and that's really what he's known for now, beloved in uke circles, much more than his bass playing. So let's talk about Rhonda as a track, and this is a hard one for me to figure out what's going on, because there's 3 acoustic strummed instruments. It's in mono. There's no stereo, and so it's all kind of this. Well, it's this wall of sound, reverb-drenched thing. And this is the first time in these videos where I really am not comfortable saying that I nailed it. This is not a hyper-realistic recreation. It's only realistic. And I did my best. But sometimes you just can't know. And I'm going to do a whole video about the epistemology of a Beach Boys session that I find riveting. You may not, but look for that coming out soon. And I think it's time to go to the track view, so I'll see you there. Welcome to Track View. We're here about to get into Help Me Ronda Mark 1 from the Today LP. Now, the big thing about this song is, of course, the little 12-string riff. And I found it very hard to play the riff as badly as Carl plays it. He really struggles with it for some reason. And it took 31 takes to get right. I think that's largely because Carl just could not dial it in on this day for whatever reason. Even in the final take, he makes a lot of mistakes. Now, another thing that they did with the original mix that I didn't do is turn Carl up and down, much like the end of the track with these kind of iffy pan pot adjustments. Carl goes up when the riff is important and down when it's not. I didn't do that kind of adjustment just so you could see, so you can hear when he's playing. But consequently, at the beginning of each new take, sometimes Carl was too hot, too soft. The adjustment, they couldn't just set a level and forget it. They had to keep adjusting it. So that's the 12-string riff. Carl just plays that throughout the song. During, I think, the second chorus, he either decides not to or doesn't feel like it, and he just starts playing these really light little chimey chord things. Where's that? It's kind of nice, actually. It's really low in the mix. And so the intro really comes alive with that uke. And so here's the 12 string and the ukulele together. And you can see how the ukulele and the 12 string are playing the exact same rhythm. And it sort of is that phenomenon of that sort of organic synthesis where an arranger combines two instruments to become one sort of additive unity. And I think that's kind of what happens here. Without each other, they're not as good. So there's that situation. Now, taking away the 12 string and adding in these two acoustic guitars, which, as I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to tell what exactly is going on, because as you'll hear, it's just this kind of wash of acoustic strumming. I've separated them out in stereo so you can hear a little more clearly the divisions of what I think is going on. But what happens if we could just collapse it to mono? You can hear how it just becomes this indistinct thing. Now, that moment right there, let's turn it off, the mono back off so it's stereo again. This little lick. Now, I played that on ukulele, but that's something that could have been played on any of the acoustic instruments there. I just chose ukulele because it's the most characteristic and unusual instrument in the arrangement, but it could have been either of the acoustic guitars too. It's just really hard to tell. Everything's low mixed. It kind of sounds a little strained, so that could be due to playing it on ukulele, but I just don't know. So you can hear the kind of wash of acoustic strumming. And you can really hear what the ukulele adds when I take it out. Well, that's just silence. So then you add the ukulele in and you get a little more rhythmic urgency. And a little more high end on it because it's playing higher. And the nylon string and the smaller body add that characteristic ukulele tone. Alright, so that's pretty much it for those. Now, the bass is played by Ray Pullman and is somewhat unique in that it's a rare time that Ray played bass for Brian with his thumb instead of a pick. At least that's my opinion. It's not the usual clicky, brighter attack that Brian asked of his Fender bassists. And it's made even more diffuse and less pointed by all the reverb that's on everything. It's described as being a cavernous sound by a friend of mine. I think that's right. It's a lot of reverb on everything. I think the reverb was actually doubled because they were adding some reverb live, but then added a whole other duplicate mono track of reverb, which appears on one of the bootlegs. And I think that must have been contemporaneous to the recording. It's a very simple bass line, in contrast to the Help Me Ronda found on Summer Days and Summer Nights, which is more moving, more muscular, hipper, jazzier. They really couldn't be more different. And I'm going to do an episode when I get to Summer Days Ronda that's just going to be about the differences between this Ronda and that Ronda, and how different arrangements can take songs in different directions. That may be all that there is to say about this track. It really is fairly simple, given that it's the kind of wall of acoustic strumming, the 12-string accents, which are right in line with the trend that we've been talking about of Brian liking this kind of riff-based guitar stuff. I'm sure Carl had a hand in bringing that to the table, even though he wasn't at his best on this day. And I think that's about that. That's all I have to say about Help Me Ronda on the Today LP. If you have any questions, I would love to get them. And thank you again so much for your generosity. Without the generosity of the people who are watching these videos, I wouldn't have been able to have a ukulele for this video. It's just really amazing that you've helped me in that way. So I'm so grateful, and I'll see you next time for Dance, Dance, Dance. Then we get to go on the exciting journey of the B-side of today. It's going to be a totally different vibe. Really looking forward to it. So thanks a lot, and see you next time. Bye-bye.